Israel's key war cabinet member and centrist leader Benny Gantz is currently in the United States to discuss a potential ceasefire in Gaza. The visit comes in the backdrop of a crucial meeting in Cairo between Israel and Hamas to further the negotiations on a ceasefire in Gaza. In a short while from now, Gantz will meet Vice President Kamala Harris to discuss the situation in the war-torn enclave and alternatives to increase the flow of aid in Gaza. The war cabinet leader will also be meeting the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. An interaction with Secretary of State Antony Blinken is also on the agenda. However, the visit has apparently left a bitter aftertaste for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is allegedly not too pleased with his political rival's diplomatic outreach. The visit has widened the wedge between Netanyahu and the former military chief, further straining an already vulnerable war cabinet. Reports by Israel's media reveal that the visit has left Benjamin Netanyahu fuming. He is said to have remarked that Israel has only one prime minister and that he did not authorize Gantz's visit to Washington. Israeli media outlets have also reported on an alleged tense phone conversation between the two leaders, as Gantz reportedly informed Netanyahu of the visit only on Friday. The move is said to have infuriated the prime minister, as all official visit by Israeli ministers follows a protocol of a prior clearance and approval. All right, for more on this, we are being joined by retired Colonel Rich Outzen from Washington, D.C. He is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and the Jamestown Foundation. Rich, welcome back to WION. A very happy Monday to you. It seems like there is some war of words between Benny Gantz and Benjamin Netanyahu as Gantz comes to Washington. How might this tension between the two sides, as well as reported disagreements over Gantz's policies, affect the stability of Israel's war in Gaza and the country's overall political landscape, in your opinion?
Well, it's great to be with you. I think with regards to the war effort, I think there's sort of a grudging commonality among Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition and the opposition that Hamas should not be left in charge of the Gaza Strip, whatever happens at the end of the war, however this terminates. But there's a problem written into that, which is, while everybody agrees to that goal, the primary question of what comes next, what is the day after, is a major source of contention between the war cabinet, most of whom are centrists, and the Netanyahu government. By all reports, Netanyahu has pushed off, deferred, and even forbidden all discussion of what comes next, what's the political situation, and also how to increase humanitarian assistance, whereas Gantz and the centrist and center-left bloc that he represents and has run under against Netanyahu very much thinks that this is a bad look for Israel, the people on the edge of starvation, and that the tension with allies over the insufficient flow of humanitarian assistance has to be remedied sooner rather than later. So I think you have a pre-existing competition between the two men at the political level that was sort of papered over by the exigent circumstance of October 7th and the need to smash Hamas militarily. But now that reports say that the Palestinians are on the verge of starvation, Gantz is trying to fix these problems before they come to a very ugly head, or to stop what really has become a very ugly situation already. And yes, Netanyahu seems to feel politically threatened by that.
Mm-hmm. And there are negotiations going on in Doha, Qatar. So why is Benny Gantz in Washington right now? What's the purpose of his visit? And will this visit impact the negotiations that are going on between Hamas, Israel, and other Arab states?
Well, the level of collaboration and consultation between Washington and Israel, traditionally, especially in wartime, has been very close and very high level. It's not at all unusual for a senior official in a unity government, which is what the war cabinet represents. It was a coming together of all political forces in the face of the attacks of October 7th. It's not at all unusual to have someone come to have these sorts of conversations. And I think when Netanyahu, he's being a little disingenuous when he accepted this unity approach of the war cabinet and having all the parties on board. He did not gain a right to absolutely veto travel by ministers within that coalition. Now, from the U.S. perspective, Gantz is a very well-respected man. He's was overall chief of the Israeli military. He has served in Washington as defense attaché, has extensive contacts. For the Biden administration, this presents the opportunity to say, look, while we're very critical of Israel over the humanitarian aspects of the war in Gaza, We still are having talks about your security. We're still committed to that, and a high-profile series of meetings like this serves the Biden administration's political purposes as well.
Rich, thank you so much for that thorough analysis. As always, we'll be watching this story very closely throughout the day and moving forward, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you, Susan.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.